Hello and welcome. Good evening and a welcome to a very special program called Cricket Predicta, only on NewsX, powered by 1xBet. Today, Rajasthan Royals and Royal Challengers Bangalore are set to face off in a crucial knockout match at the Ahmedabad ground. This match is vital for both Bengaluru and Rajasthan as they vie for a spot in Qualified 2, promising a tight contest. Currently, Rajasthan is third in the points table, while RCB finished fourth, leading them thus to eliminators. Started as a strong contender, Rajasthan Royals somehow seems to have lost their place with a series of losses. Conversely, RCB, after a rough start, had surged into the playoffs with 6 consecutive victories. Oh my God. Before delving into today's eliminator, let's recap on yesterday's Qualifier 1. Kolkata Knight Riders have secured a spot in the IPL final by defeating Hyderabad by 8 wickets. This marks Kolkata's 4th final appearance, the last being in 2021. Hyderabad, having lost Qualifier 1 for the second time, still has a chance to reach the final through the Qualifier 2. Yesterday, Hyderabad chose to bat first at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad, scoring 159 runs. But Shreyas Iyer leading the charge with hitting 4 consecutive boundaries in Trevor Head's over. Mitchell Starc, who took 3 wickets for 34 runs, was named player of the match. Just hold on there. I invite my guest, Paul Dinette from Australia. Paul, welcome to the show. What are we reading on the teleprompter? The man of the match was Mitchell Starc. And according to you, he shouldn't have been a part of the team. What went wrong? Apologize to him.
Well, firstly, Sunil, I thought you were going to delete the footage of yesterday's show. I think it happened in the World Cup as well, if I remember. I predicted that he should be dropped from the World Cup final, and he took 3 for 55 for Australia and won that game for them. I bow to the greater wisdom of Stanley Chioza, who said the big match brings out the big man. And as much as it made me look a bit of a goose, I was pretty delighted to see him perform on the big stage, because he was under a lot of pressure in Australia. They were at one stage calculating how much money he'd been earning per wicket because there hadn't been so many. So to see him come storming through and win the game, and to categorically prove me wrong, yeah, I can take that. Although, in my defence, I think, as a throwaway line at the end, say, oh, now that I've said this, he'll probably take 3 wickets and win the game for them. So I kind of had a bet each way. Absolutely.
We also invite Stanley Chioza, David Brooks, who joins us from London, the man with the hawk eye, and who's been watching cricket very closely, playing for 4, maybe 5 decades. I'm not letting his age go past. But again, Stanley Chioza, you got your money right on the target. Bang. How did you do it?
Well, for starters, it was basically like a matchup kind of scenario. I mean, there's Travis Head in Australia in the opposition. You have Mitchell Starc. These guys all represent Australia at the national level. These guys know each other. But yes, importantly for me, it was the tactical approach. You've got Mitchell Starc as a left-arm swing bowler. Travis Head is a left-hand batsman. And generally, left-arm swing bowlers, they take it away from the left-hand batsman. And if you look at the way Travis Head has been scoring, he's been looking to score straight down the ground through that deep mid-wicket area. And that means a lot of bowlers have been bowling too straight to him. So you've got to take it away from him, let him drag that. And yesterday, we saw him trying to drag one, but it was touched too straight, starting to shape away, and it canned onto a stump. So a perfect matchup, and that's why I did not want someone like a Mitchell Starc out of the team.
Well, we had someone from London who actually wanted him to feel that forward short leg. Welcome to the show, David Brooks.
Yeah, well, they didn't put him at short leg, but they did select him, as you say, and wonderful spell. I mean, yeah, the big man came to the party at the right time. And I was disappointed, obviously, to see that both Travis Head and Abhishek, how reliant Sunrisers are on that opening partnership now. But maybe the Royals KKR were helped by the fact that they had that game rained off and they were raring to go after a bit of a break. And they certainly look like a winning team. Absolutely. And favourites now to win the whole thing.
David Brooks, a very honest, brutal question. Are you excited to see Virat Kohli bat today, or are you even more pleased to watch Jofra Archer bowl tonight? What's your pick?
Both obviously demonstrating their different skills. I mean, Virat Kohli is always a treat to watch. You know, the figures that when Paul Dunnett was talking about those figures in yesterday's show about the number of sixes, Kohli's one of those players that has adapted his game, still is able to play correct cricket, but is able to expand his game and join the six hitters. And there's not many players been able to do that. Perhaps none of the greats of India's past would have been able to make that transition. Even the great Tendulkar, Gavaskar, would they have actually been able to adapt their game to the modern era in the way that Kohli has? So it's his multifaceted approach. So it's Kohli for me. With Jofra Archer, delighted to see him back in the England team. He's played no county cricket in preparation for this, so I hope that the expectations don't get too high on his back, because he's just been playing some club cricket in Barbados as his preparation for this. So he's been playing, if you like, village cricket as his run-up to back in the internationals. Having said all that, I wish that the internationals, just like Joss Buttler, I wish they delayed these internationals until the IPL was finished, because it is a shame to see these players withdrawing from the final stages of the IPL. Buttler will be missed today.
Absolutely, Buttler will be missed. Let's look at some brutal stats. Paul Dennett, you always say it's a competition between the bat and the ball. One report also suggests that when RCB comes into bat, they are 20 runs ahead. Just give us the complete story for our stats.
Yeah, just looking at the numbers from before the game, it's clear that it's a sort of a matchup of the Rajasthan Royals bowling versus the RCB batting.
That's correct.
RCB, you can put their strike rates to the maths and they're going to score 196 on average throughout the tournament. Rajasthan, 176, so a gap of 20. With the ball, Rajasthan are going to concede 180. RCB are going to score 199. Now, if I was completely literal, which I'm not, but maybe I'm close to it, I would almost be saying that's going to cause me to predict a super over for tonight's game, which would be pretty cool. It'd be the first of the tournament.
So if you were to explain it to a layman, to a fan, what would you say?
Well, there's a gap of 20 runs as far as the batting's concerned, and then there's a gap of 19 runs flipping that as far as the bowling's concerned. And I think if you look at the individual personnel,
right,
look at the strike rates of the top performers, and you've got to go down the list a little bit until you get someone from Rajasthan. So I'm just looking at these numbers here. DK, a strike rate of 196 for the tournament. Patidar, 180. Our friend David Brooks mentioned the England players leaving. Will Jacks has gone home, had a strike rate of 176, so they will miss him. Faf in fourth, 164. You've got to come down to Sanju Samson with a strike rate of 157 before you get someone from the Rajasthan Royals. But on the flip side, when it comes to the bowling, then I think that you've got some concerns that the RCB bowlers have been leaking more runs.
Well, we spoke about Dinesh Karthik. There seems to be some surreal numbers coming in for Dinesh Karthik. Last 3 matches, he walks into bat with only 14 balls to go on the thing. Just take us through that.
Well, I sound like a broken record, I know. Every time I've been on this show, I've been urging that they take batters from the middle order and give them a chance to bat high. Actually, it was reassuring to hear, I think it was Harsha Bhogle actually saying something similar the other day. I felt like I was the only one saying it. But you're right, the last 3 innings that he's played, he's come out with just 14 balls maximum that he can face. Now, assuming he faces half of them, that's just 7 balls. I ask you, do you want a guy with his ability who has been scoring at such an extraordinary strike rate throughout the tournament, 196, an average of 39, wouldn't you want him to be facing a few more balls? Now, RCB would say, well, wait a minute, he was dismissed in all 3 of those games and we won all 3 of those games. And I'd say yes, but in a major game like this, it would be a great pity if he finished with 15 off 5 and they ultimately didn't win the game. If you're 15 not out off 5 and they ultimately didn't win the game.
Stanley Chiozza, you have a batting lineup which bats deep, which bats explosive. You're the bowling coach of the Zimbabwean team. What would you advise the Rajasthan Royals?
Well, if it's for the Rajasthan Royals, for starters, I think tactically, I'm not sure how things go about with regards to selecting venues is concerned, because it's not so far back where they played at Guwahati, where Raju Samson.
That's an interesting point you made. Just expand on that, please.
Yeah, it's not so long ago where the Rajasthan Royals lost a match at Guwahati on a slow surface, which is their second home venue. And now this match today, a crucial match for that matter, is now being moved to Ahmedabad. Now, Ahmedabad is well known for runs. It's a high-scoring wicket, and you're now bringing in an RCB batting unit that is in form. onto a surface that is runs galore. I think they're missing a trick here as Rajasthan Royals, if at all, they have control in terms of what field or what venue to play in. I mean, if you then look at the batting lineup of Rajasthan Royals, it's all about Parag right now at this moment in time. Sanju Samson has 4 scores of under 20 in the last 4 games. So that's concern on its own.
So you're saying the pitch is a problem, Sanju Samson's last 4 innings is a problem, and them losing the close matches will also have a dent on their morale. David Brooks, when you have a team losing 5 matches on the trot, how do you gather support and gain momentum from them?
Very good question, Sunil. Yeah, and especially when you're up against a team, as Stanley said, who have hit form just at the right time, and it's likely to be a battered track. You've got all those batters in form for RCB. What would I say to Rajasthan Royals? I'd be saying to Trent Boult, give us some wickets up front. That's what you're here for. He's got to do what Mitchell Starc did yesterday. And maybe they'll play Berger today from South Africa and really go for the wickets at the top order. But then, we've seen with Kartik, as you say, with DK coming in at 6 or 7, they're batting a long way down RCB. So, I don't think Kohli will be dismissed early as well. I think he's got the bit between his teeth. I think we're going to see another display from Virat Kohli today. So I think the pressure is on Rajasthan Royals. I would say find a way of getting Kohli out if you can.
Well, find a way to get Kohli out. Let's talk about Rajasthan Royals' bowling prowess. Yash Dayal, Mohammad Siraj, Cameron Green, and Lockie Ferguson. You're the bowling coach. Just share your thoughts, very honest. Is this a good enough side to stop Rajasthan Royal Challengers Bengaluru?
Considering the confidence level that is low in the Rajasthan Royals camp, I think there's fairly sufficient power in the RCB bowling lineup to do job in this encounter. But what would I like to see from a Rajasthan Royals perspective? The RCB are in good form. This game for me should have been played at Guwahati. What does that mean for Rajasthan Royals? It means their seamers have an opportunity. Up and above that, they have 2 of some of the world's best spinners in their bowling attack. What a better suited surface to use Ravi Ashwin, and what a better surface to use Chahal. Now they're going to be playing on a surface that does not really help spin. That means those 2 bowlers end up going to be playing a defensive role. They can't attack, because if they try and attack, they're going to go for runs. So that means they're basically going to be depending a lot more on their seamers in terms of changes in pace. If that ball does not swing up front for balls,
tell our fans, does it actually matter when we're looking at the figures? RCB has scored 2,621 runs, and RCB has hit 157 sixes, which is the second highest. What do you make of that?
Well, if you look at the batting supremacy of the RCB, what you can see is that they like the ball to come through to the bat.
Yes.
So that means for someone like a Trent Boult who's very strong on swing, who relies on swing, which is that's a strong element in terms of him taking wickets in the power play, especially in those first overs. If that ball does not swing, then there's going to be trouble. Well,
today's match, you have a matchup between the batsmen and the bowlers. You have Virat Kohli versus Riyan Parag. There's a huge margin there. You have Sanju Samson at 504, but Yuzvendra Chahal and Trent Boult. Yuzi versus Faf du Plessis. He's bowled them out on 4 occasions. You've got, he constricts Faf du Plessis. What do you think? Is that the real matchup, Stanley Chodza, or Trent Boult, 12 wickets in 13 innings in the IPL, economy rate of 8.42 versus Virat Kohli, 708 runs in 14 innings? Your views?
I think this is probably going to be boring for a lot of people when I really mention that aspect of conditions. These matchups work when a bowler gets assistance. That's important. That's really important, especially for me as a bowling coach. If the conditions do not assist someone like a Chahal, who depends on grip and spin, then the only thing he has to do is to start bringing in his variations, maybe coming from wide of the crease, bowling wider, bowling quicker, change of pace. But the bottom line at the end of the line of the day is if the ball is not getting assistance off the surface, it's coming onto the bat. So some of these matchups make sense on conditions that assist the bowler.
Paul Dennett, what is your assessment market? What is your antenna in the olden days, like we used to have on television channel, you know, outside the home? What does it say when you swirl it around?
Well, the easy thing to say is that all the momentum is with RCB, and I'm sometimes a little bit. I think we overdo the significance of momentum. I do think RCB are playing extraordinarily well, but you look back at the RR, their 4 losses, and they lost by 1 run to Sunrisers Hyderabad. They lost Delhi Capitals because Jake Fraser-McGurk
went berserk.
Nice rhyme there. And Tristan Stubbs as well. Then they got beaten by Chennai on a low one at Chepauk, and then they got beaten by Punjab on a low one at Guwahati. I don't think they're playing all that badly, and I think that the key for me is that we talked about the batting power that RCB have, and we've talked a little bit about the bowling of RR. I think Sandeep Sharma is a key. I think Trent Bolt is a key. Ashwin hasn't taken as many wickets as he might have liked to, but he's still been very economical. You look down the list at the other end of things, and I'm a little bit concerned with maybe Khan Sharma and Lockie Ferguson leaking some runs. They've been a bit more expensive. So as I said, we're going back to the fact that it's the batting of RCB versus the bowling of RR, and I think that those 2 bowlers for RCB give me some concerns for them.
David Brooks, what do you make of the situation when you have a dilapidated bowling attack with only Mohammad Siraj standing in the top with Yash Dayal? Yes, he's got some wickets, but Cameron Green, Lockie Ferguson leaking runs. Does that put you in a spot of bother, considering you're a hardcore RCB Virat Kohli fan?
Yeah, I think Paul makes a good point there. But 2 games ago, I was quite impressed with Lockie Ferguson. I thought that he did show a lot of pace through the air. And if it's a quick wicket and it might help seamers today. And of course, although we've been concentrating on those skills of the 2 teams, you've got to look at the batting of Rajasthan Royals and say, without Joss Buttler and with Jaswal struggling at the moment for runs, I mean, a little bit word about the Englishman that's come in, Tom Kohler-Cadmore. Yorkshireman, he hasn't played any real international cricket. He's played a couple of one-day internationals. He hasn't got that skill at the very highest level. And I don't think he's a like-for-like placement for Buttler. So you're relying on Parag. I hope Rovman Powell gets a game today over Hetmar. Hetmar's been out, injured. He hasn't really done much in the tournament, high score of 27. I'd like to see Rovman Powell, because on a faster surface, Rovman Powell could be effective for the Royals. But form can be overrated. But when you've got Kohli and Faf firing at the top of the order, when you've got Patidar hitting form, and the 2 Aussies beginning to contribute now, Cam Green and Maxwell, it's a very, very long batting lineup with Karthik at
David, what does your prediction market tell you today? Who would you put your money on?
I would be cautious, and I hope a super over would be wonderful if Paul's prediction is right. I'll go for RCB today, the team in form, because of the power of their batting, and I think Yash Dayal, and I wouldn't write off Lockie Ferguson. Yes, in the last game, expensive, but he's got the pace, and I think he'll do the job for them today.
Any standout performance you expect, or anything that you feel?
Predictable to nil. Virat Kohli again to perform for us today. The gift that keeps on giving.
With the rate you've been admiring Virat Kohli, it seems by summer you'll have his tattoo on your forearms. But that's a thing for the legends. Paul Dennett, what is your pick today, considering you just completely bamboozled us with your facts, saying that it's an even contest?
Well, yeah, I suppose I could say I'm sitting on the fence, or I could say I'm being so brave I'm actually predicting a super over. And maybe I'm an inveterate gambler, but having made myself look silly predicting Mitchell Starc to be no good last night, I might as well throw it all on the last one and say I look like a genius if it is a super over, and if it's not, it's I won't. But one thing I just wanted to say, I want to pick up on David Brooks' point about Tom Kohler-Cadmore.
Yes.
I think from a human perspective, imagine going out tonight knowing that your future livelihood could be very much markedly affected by what you do in the next half hour when you open the batting. Because if he comes out, cracks 50 off 20, then next year's auction, he could go for anything. If he comes out and plays a disappointing innings like he did in the last game, and especially if they lose and that's the end of the tournament, then the millions of dollars could thus dry up. And I was talking to Stanley about it the other day off air and saying, apart from lack of talent, it's one of the reasons that I wouldn't be a cricketer, because I would be terrified of that situation. Stanley was saying he'd be all up for it. But I think when you're watching him tonight, think about that, what a significant innings it is in his life.
You also spoke about Yash Dayal. Do you want to spend like 30 seconds, since my producer is not screaming in my ear right now to shut it. Yash Dayal's story really is an emotional, heart-touching story. Just for 30 seconds if you want to just touch upon that.
Well, I was saying it the other night, the really sad moment of when Rinku Singh smashed him for 5 sixes last IPL and he gave up 29 runs and lost the unlosable game. Then in the game against CSK, the first ball of the final over when he needed to defend 17 and Dhoni hit him for 110 metre 6. A very bad ball, just as he bowled in that first sequence to Rinku Singh. And I gave him no chance. I thought, that's it, they're going to win. And it was basically, I think, wicket, dot, single, dot, dot, that he then finished the over. What a redemption. Can he do it again tonight? He's been bowling well, but if it's a high-scoring surface, as Stanley said, then all the bowlers are going to be in the firing line.
Stanley, before I ask you who's your winning team today, who are you predicting on, but at the same time, how does a captain get a courage to get Yash Dayal to come back, bowl, and that too at a crucial time, to the greatest finisher of all time in T20? Where does he muster all the courage if you're a bowler?
Well, for starters, if you're a captain, obviously you would have had your bowling plans with the coach. You try and use your premium bowlers up front and make sure that perhaps the number of runs at the back end are such that your bowler, who's probably less skilled, is still able to defend. But in this case, fantastic to Yash Dayal. But then coming to this one, RCB has pretty much played 6 elimination matches. Tonight will be their 7th. That's the amount of pressure they've had to deal with coming into this one.
Are you calling them the South Africa of the World Cup?
No, really, not really. I think RCB, they are looking good this time, and I think somehow for me, Rajasthan Royals will crack in the sense that they have not played a pressure game in the qualifiers as yet. So I think RCB on the roll. I'm with RCB today.
What about you? I didn't get that team's name.
You didn't get the team's name? Prediction? No, I'm a victim of numbers. People say, Paul, cricket is much more than numbers, and I say, well, he's saying that the 100 metres is more than times. I'm going for a super over.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, we had 3 of the finest cricketing brains, some in our studio, one from Lord's, London. That's all we had time for. Keep watching NewsX.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.